Right, Inspector, please.
And anyhow, I knew already. Just meet her.
Good. So this. Right. So this is this again. This here kind of breaks the tension. So the whole way the previous bit, Gerald's been going, "Oh, don't let on. Go out the room." He already knows, right? He says, "I already know everything." So the idea is that you can't really lie to me because I already know everything. And yet we know that Gerald is going to try and weasel and lie his way out of the situation, right? When and where did you first meet her? All right. If you must have it, Adam. If you must have it, I met her first sometime in March. Okay, last year at a bar in the bar at the Palace. So he meets her in a bar. Okay, I mean the Palace Music Hall here in Brumley. So a music hall is sort of like a theatre where you go and you listen to live music. This is the time before they had sort of recorded music. So you go listen to it being played live. Okay. Now, of course, the idea is that he meets her in a bar. So there's a sense here that she's working, sort of trying to pick up business in the bar with the men who have been drinking. Sheila.
Well, we didn't think you meant Buckingham Palace.
Yeah. So again, Buckingham Palace is where the Queen lives, or the King at this point. But again, the notion is that it's sordid, that this is a sordid affair that he's having. Like there's no glamour to it. It's something dirty, right? It's something kind of dirty and immoral, which of course is the opposite of Buckingham Palace. That is where the King lives, and of course, as we all know, the King is great. Gerald, that's me. Thanks. You're going to be a great help. I can see. You've said your piece, and you're obviously going to hate this. So why on earth don't you just leave us to it?
Nothing would induce me. I want to understand what happens when a man says he's so busy at the works that he can hardly ever find time to come and see the girl he's supposed to be in love with. I wouldn't miss it for...
Be quiet, please, Miss. Yes, Mr. Bob. In the bar at the Palace.
Yes. Good, yeah. So they've got their drama, but the inspector, as you can see here, is not interested in their drama, right? She's like, oh, I want to see where you were when the girl you're supposed to be in love with, right? Where were you? Again, authority, right? Be quiet. He has no interest in their little drama. His interest is in exposing what's going on. I happened to go there one night after a rather long, dull day, and as the show wasn't very bright, I went down into the bar for a drink. Okay, went down to the bar for a drink. It's a favourite haunt of women of the town, right? We'll highlight this. Now, this is what we call a euphemism. Euphemism, which is when you say one thing in another way to be essentially less direct. What does he mean by women of the town? Women of the town.
Prostitutes.
Yeah, he's talking about prostitutes. So the idea is that he doesn't want to use the word prostitutes because he thinks that's a little bit uncouth. Right? You don't use the word prostitute. We say women of the town. Right? Women who are around the town, have slept with many men in the town, are known by everybody in the town. Right? Yep.
Can't be misspelled.
Sure. Women of the town.
Women of the town?
Yeah, so she's like, what? Right? She doesn't understand it. Prostitutes. Sorry, I took your line. Go on. Prostitutes. So notice that he is direct, right? And truthful. So Gerald's trying to make it sound better than it is. Women of the town. Oh, okay, that sounds nice. What's a woman of the town? Prostitute. Right? He doesn't let them, like, colour it in pretty. He makes it always bad. Right? Died in agony. Prostitutes. Right? He is the truth. Mrs. Burling.
Yes, but here, in Bromley...
One of the worst cities in the country for prostitution.
Yeah, one of the worst cities. Now, again, what leads women into prostitution is poverty, right? That's it. It's a way of making money by selling your most basic asset, right? Now, as you can imagine, it's particularly unsafe as a profession, right? You're incredibly vulnerable. You go with people, you don't know who they are. You're at risk to disease. So you've got a risk of violence. You've got a risk of health. right? It's a very, 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 very vulnerable thing to do. Okay, it comes from a desperation and a poverty. Burning. Oh, have I got a burning? Anyone want to be a burning? Sorry, you want to be burning? Thank you. You've got to be loud. Okay.
Quite true, but I see no point in mentioning the subject, especially.
It would be much better if Sheila didn't listen to the story at all.
Yeah. So they don't want this being discussed because they are worried about the wedding, right? So he's like, yeah, let's not talk about this. Let's get her out of the room, because he's about to reveal that Gerald has been with a prostitute, and that might ruin the chance of them getting married, and therefore there won't be any more Crofts and Burling coming together for higher prices and lower wages, right? Sheila.
Well, you're forgetting I'm supposed to be engaged to the hero of this. Go on, Gerald. You went down into the bar, which is a favourite haunt of women of the town.
Yeah, good. So hero, he's using this sarcastically, right? Like he's some sort of hero in this scenario. So go on. You went down into the bar, which is a favourite haunt of the women of the town. Oh, I'm glad I amuse you. I'm glad I amuse you. I'm glad you've got to cut me off. I'm glad I amuse you.
Oh, sorry. Come along, Mr. Croft. What happened?
Yeah, again, it's about getting to the truth, right? Oh, I'm glad I amuse you. I didn't intend to stay down there long. I hate those hard-eyed, dough-faced women. Huh? Hard-eyed, dough-faced women, right? What the hell does that mean, right? That's worth highlighting. I hate those hard-eyed, dough-faced women. So he hates them, right? Strong. What does he hate about them, right? Well, he says they're hard-eyed, which means that they are maybe a bit mean or like very suspicious. And dough-faced suggests that their faces are misshapen or big or unhealthy. Yeah.
No, I think it means like they're quite used, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. There's a sense. Well, I'll put your word down. Right. They've been used, and they are kind of like have been like manipulated. Right. You think about again why use the word dough. Dough is something that you kind of mould and change. Says these women are in some way impure. I don't like to look at them because they remind me that the world has bad things in it. But then I noticed a girl who looked quite different. She was very pretty. Soft brown hair, big dark eyes. My God! My God! My God!
Oh, sorry. What's the matter?
Sorry, I've just suddenly realised, taking it in properly, that she's dead.
Yes, she's dead. Go
Yeah.
on.
So again, he only cares, right? He only cares if it's personal to him, right? He's like, I knew her and she's dead. Inspector's like, yeah, she's dead, come on. Well, this girl was charmingly dressed too, in a simple, inexpensive sort of way. And altogether, she looked young and fresh and charming. And what shall I say? The opposite of hard and tough. Unable to look after herself. She was quite out of place down there. And obviously she wasn't enjoying herself. Old Joe Meggerty, half drunk and goggle-eyed, had wedged her into a corner with that obscene fat carcass of his. So this big, this guy's like got her in the corner and he's drunk and he's like, you're alright there, love. You're alright there, love. So Gerald, I saw her. She wasn't like the other horrible women that I hate. I saw her. She looked very pretty, a lovely dress on, and I saved her. Yeah? He saves her. So he saves her from big old fat Joe Meggerty. He makes a few assumptions, right? So things like this. Obviously she wasn't enjoying herself, right? He decides that, again. So he decides that. and he feels like she is somehow different, right? That he's going to save her from the life of prostitution with that obscene fat carcass of his.
There's no need to be disgusting, and surely you don't mean Alderman McGarty.
Yeah, Alderman. So remember, he's also on the council. So another person with power who's abusing it in the bar with the prostitutes. Of course I do. He's a notorious womanizer and the worst sots, one of the worst sots and rogues in Brumley. So again, we have another sense of power and corruption. So this guy is in charge of the laws, and yet he is a womanizer. So it means he has sex with lots of women, often prostitutes, or has lots of affairs. Mrs. Burning, you're staggered by this. You're staggered, you're stunned, you're shocked.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Alderman McGarty? Well, we are learning something tonight.
Here we are learning something tonight. Sheila.
Of course we are, but everybody knows about old McGarty. A girl I know had to see him at the town hall afternoon, and she only escaped with a torn blouse.
Yeah. Sorry, Burning. So look, she only escaped with a torn blouse. So the sense here that he's sexually assaulting women. And what I like here is that it says here, everyone knows, right? So it's no secret. So it's like this guy is a terrible person. He goes to these bars, he like grabs women. Okay, as you mentioned before, he treats women like they are objects. Okay, like they're property. Everyone knows about it, right? It's not a secret. Like his power, he's able to flaunt his power as he wishes because there's nobody stopping him doing it. Burley,
Sheila.
you're shocked. Be more shocked.
Go on.
This girl saw me looking at her and then gave me a glance. Obviously, an SOS. Save our souls. Come on, Gerald. Obviously an SOS. So I went across and told Joe Megarty some nonsense, that the manager had a message for him or something, got him out of the way, and then told the girl if she didn't want any more of that sort of thing, she better let me take her out of there. She agreed at once. Right? So again, he saves her, right? Clever Gerald. I told Megarty there was a phone call for him. I said, if you want to avoid this situation, come with me at once. It's better.
Where did you go?
We went to the county hotel, which I knew would be quiet at that time of night, and we had a drink or two and talked.
Did you drink much at the time?
No, she only had a port and lemonade, or some such concoction. All she wanted was to talk, okay? A little friendliness. And I gathered that Joe Megarty's advances had left her rather shaken, as well they did, as well they might.
She talks about herself.
Yes, I asked her questions about herself. She told me her name was Daisy Renton, that she'd lost both parents, that she came originally from somewhere outside Brumley. She also told me she had a job in one of the work here, but had to leave after a strike. Okay, so this, of course, the idea is either is Daisy, or is she, right? So, or is she? We never really know. She said something about a shop too. Okay, so this, of course, is Mr. B. This, of course, is Sheila. So he kind of picks her up after she's in this bit of desperate situation. She says something about the shop too, but wouldn't say which it was, which again leads to that. And she was deliberately vague about what happened. I couldn't get any exact details from her about her past life. She wanted to talk about herself, just because she felt I was interested and friendly. But at the same time, she wanted to be Daisy Renton, and not Eva Smith. In fact, I heard that name for the first time tonight. What she did let slip, though, she didn't mean to, was that she was desperately hard up, and at that moment was actually hungry. I made the people at County Hotel find some food for her. So again, the hotel's not serving food, but for Gerald, they'll do it, right? So she's hungry, okay, and she is really poor, okay? hard up is to be really poor. Okay, we'll highlight these. So, desperately hard up and actually hungry. Inspector.
And then you decide to keep her as a mistress.
Yeah, keep her, which is an interesting word, because keep it suggests a sense of ownership. As your mistress. Now, a mistress is somebody that you would have a sexual affair with, okay, outside of marriage. So it wasn't uncommon in those days for a man to have his wife and to have a mistress at the same time. Because they could.
If you have a wife.
Very often, because the people they married, they didn't marry for love, they married for politics. So like, you would be told who to marry, and then you would have a mistress that you would have sexual relationships with. But again, it's about the way that marriage works. It was about politics and getting the right kind of families together. Mrs. Burling, this again shocks you.
What?
Come on, people. It's supposed to be a dramatic play. You're like, what?
Of course, mother. It was obvious from the start. Come on, Joe, don't mind mother.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine if your fiance is telling you about an affair and your mum's there as well? It's even worse, right? I discovered, not that night, but 2 nights later, when we met again, not accidentally this time, of course, so it's arranged, that in fact she hadn't a penny. Thank you, gents. She hadn't a penny. And was going to be turned out of the miserable back room she had. It happened that a friend of mine, Charlie Brunswick, had gone off to Canada for 6 months and let me have the key of a nice little set of rooms he had in Morgan Terrace. Okay, so he has got a friend, right, let's be clear here, a friend with a spare house, right? His friend's got a spare house. His friend goes to Canada for 6 months, presumably on a holiday. Remember, in these days, there's no planes, so you get on a boat, and the boat would take you a month to get to Canada. So he's gone off for 6 months. Oh, and he's got spare rooms, right? So my friend has all this excess wealth. My friend Charlie Brunswick had a key of a little set of rooms in Morgan Terrace, and asked me to keep an eye on them for him and use them if I wanted to. So I insisted, interesting word, on Daisy moving into those rooms of Charlie's, and I made her take some money to keep her going there. So he gives her a home and money. Okay, but he hasn't paid for sex. He's not paying a prostitute, but he's given a woman who is a prostitute a room for free and money. Okay? Carefully to the inspector. I want you to understand that I didn't install her there so I could make love to her. Ooh. I didn't do that. I didn't. That came afterwards. So he's admitted to the relationship. He says, it wasn't my intention. Now, we don't know whether that's true or not, but we do know that he found her pretty. We do know that he fancied her and then helped her. And all the other women who were desperate for help, he ignored them because they weren't very attractive. Right? Yep.
Yeah, well, maybe at first he was just like being nice, and then afterwards.
Well, that's what he says.
Yeah.
Right? But my point is that it could be that, it could be something else. We don't know because we never get her point of view, right? And we'll never know what he was thinking. But anyway, I made her go to Morgan Terrace because I was sorry for her, and I didn't like the idea of her going back to the Palace Bar. I didn't ask for anything in return. Now, this is where I think it gets interesting, because there is a sense here that that may be true, right? So this may be true, but I'm going to write this out fully, right? Does she have the capability to give consent, right? Now this is where I think it's very, very tricky, because most people would say, what a nice thing to do, right? He sees her, she's in distress, he gives her a place to stay and money. He then has sex with her, repeatedly. And he says that she wanted to do it. But what would happen if she said no? In her mind? Well, the answer is we don't know. But what she probably thinks is that if I say no, I might lose my home and my money. So he might think that he's not asking for anything in return, but she might be scared to say no to him. So there is a question here, which is that when we think about consent, that a person can say yes, I want to, but not be able to give consent because they're too vulnerable. If she's poor and starving and she's that vulnerable, she cannot give proper consent. He has too much power over her. So I want to add this down here, right, which is that there's a massive power imbalance between the two, right? What I want to do is I want to finish all of it and I'll take your thoughts, because I think it's really interesting, right? I didn't ask for anything in return. Inspector.
I see.
Sheila.
Yes, but why are you saying that to me? You ought to be saying it to me.
Yeah. So again, this idea about the fiance. I suppose I ought, really. I'm sorry, Sheila. Somehow
I know. Sometimes he makes you. He does, you know.
But she became a mistress.
Yes, I suppose it was inevitable. So it was guaranteed to happen, right? She was young and pretty and warm-hearted and intensely grateful, right? So it's like, it's always going to happen because she was so grateful to me. I became at once the most important person in her life. You understand? So she is 100% reliant on him. 100%. I became the most important person in her life. You understand? Right? He doesn't have to have sex with her. He doesn't have to do that. He's talking like he had to do it. He could have given her the room and money and then not had sex with her, but he did. Inspector.
Yes, she was a woman. She was a woman. She was lonely. Were you in love with her?
Yeah, did you love her? Now, this is a big deal, right? Because it's one thing to have an affair, but you're not supposed to love your mistress. You're supposed to love your wife. Sheila.
Just what I was going to ask.
I really must object.
Yeah, he does not like this, right? Because this is dangerous to his ambitions.
Why should you do any protesting? It was you who turned the girl out in the first place.
Well, I only did what any employer might have done. And what I was going to say that I protest against the way in which my daughter, a young unmarried girl, is being dragged into this.
Sharply.
Your daughter isn't living on the moon. She's here in Bromley too.
Yeah, so this idea of like, she's not living on the moon, mate, right? She needs she needs some reality. Because the irony is that he's like, my daughter, young and married girl, she's the same as Eva, right? Like, why are you dragging my daughter into this situation? But of course, the problem is that they avoid it so much anyway, right? So notice here, right? So it was you who turned the girl out in the first place. So he never allows it to shift the blame, right? So he says, yeah, you're still involved. Don't forget that. Sheila. She's here in Bromley too.
Oh, yes. There was I who who the girl turned out of her job at Millward, and I'm supposed to be engaged to Gerald. I'm just a child, don't forget. I have a right to know, were you in love with her, Gerald?
Were you in love with her, Gerald? It's hard to say. I didn't feel about her the way she felt about me. I didn't feel about her the way that she felt about me. So the suggestion here is that she loves him, but he doesn't love her. Wait a second, please. Sheila, come on, we're losing our pace here. Come on.
Of course not. You were the wonderful fairy prince. You must have adored it, Gerald.
This is quite a good line here about the way that he sees himself, right? So he thinks of himself as being good, right? You're the wonderful fairy prince, like it's some sort of romance. Now, the thing we're going to talk about next is this idea about class, which is that Gerald does love Eva Smith. He loves her, but they can never be together because of the class difference, right? So the class means they can never really be in love.
Why can't he? If he's so powerful, what are people going to do?
Because he can't marry a working class woman. Because his parents would never accept it. Because he's supposed to marry Sheila Burling. He does not love Sheila Burling. He loves Daisy Renton. But he can never marry her because she's not of a high enough class. He says it.
His parents do. Like, that's so bad that he would
Disinherit him, take away all his money. Like, he talks about it. I'm skipping ahead a little bit, right? You must have adored it, Gerald. All right, I did. Right? I liked being the saviour, the white knight on the horse. Nearly any man would have done.
That's probably about the best thing you've said tonight. At least it's honest. Did you see her every night?
No, I wasn't telling a complete lie when I said I'm busy at the works at that time. We were very busy. But of course, I did see a good deal of her. Right? So this is his summer. So his summer is putting this woman in this room and going to see her all the time. Mrs. Burling.
Sorry.
Come on, this is we have to follow, please.
I don't think we want any further details of this disgusting affair.
Disgusting affair. Go on.
I do, and anyhow, we haven't had any details yet.
And you're not going to have any. You know, Mrs. Burling, it wasn't disgusting.
I don't.
Manny, you need to follow if you're going to read a part, please.
Disgusting to me.
Yes, but you didn't come into this, did you, Mother?
Is there anything else you'd like to know? That you ought to know?
Yes. When did this affair end?
Right, when did it end? So notice this, right? So ought to know, like to know versus ought to know. So there's an idea here of sort of decency. So it's like, I'm not going to tell you anything about our relationship. That stays between us. Okay? When did it end? I can tell you exactly. In the first week of September. So it ends after the summer. I had to go away for several weeks then on business. And by that time, Daisy knew it was coming to an end. So I broke it off, definitely before I went. Okay, so they split up. Spencer.
How did she take it?
Better than I'd hoped. She was very gallant about it. It's a weird word. It means kind of honour / bravery, like a knight. So he splits up with her and she's like, yes, took it really well. Sheila?
That wasn't nice of you.
No, it wasn't. She told me she'd been happier than she'd ever been before, but that she knew it couldn't last. Hadn't expected it to last. She didn't blame me at all. I wish to God she had now. Perhaps I'd feel better about it. So notice that he gives her a little taste of happiness. Right? So now this is true, right? It's true, but the point is that it is unrealistic. So we have a couple who are in love, right? Gerald loves her, she loves Gerald, and yet she knows it couldn't last because it's impossible because of their class, right? Because of the class difference. She knows that Gerald won't marry her, so therefore it has to end. Because he's a man, he must be married, and it can't be her because she's too poor, working class. Inspector?
She had to leave those rooms.
Yeah. Yes, we'd agreed about that. She saved a little money during the summer. She lived very economically, which means that she was being very cheap with her money, on what I'd allowed her. So again, really interesting phrase here, right? So he is her sole source of money. She can't go out and work because of him paying her, and didn't want to take any more from me. But I insisted on a parting gift of enough money, though it wasn't very much, to see her through to the end of the year. Okay, Spencer?
Did she tell you what she proposed to do after you left her?
No, she refused to talk about that. I got the idea once or twice from what she said that she thought of leaving Brumley. Whether she did or no, I don't know. Did she?
Yes. She went away for about 2 months to some seaside place.
By herself?
Yes, I think she went away to be alone. To remember all that had happened between you.
Yeah. So, I mean, he breaks her heart because, and again, another reason why I think he's particularly bad is because he enters into a relationship with a very vulnerable woman that he has no intention of continuing. So he uses her because he fancies her, and then he dumps her. Right? So let's be very clear about this, right? He uses her and dumps her because she is the wrong type of person. How do you know that?
She kept a rough sort of diary, and she had to go away.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. And she said that there she had to go away and be quiet. Remember, go on.
Just to make it last longer. She
Yeah.
felt that there'd never be anything as good for her again, so she had to make it last longer.
Yeah, so she's sort of trying to remain in the fantasy of this situation. I see. Well, I never saw her again. That's all I can tell you.
It's all I want to know from you.
In that case, I'm rather more upset by this business than I probably appear to be, and, well, I'd like to be alone for a little while. I'd be glad if you'd let me go. I'd be glad if you'd let me go, please.
Go. Where? Home?
No, I'll just walk about, somewhere by myself. I'll come back.
Sorry. Alright, Mr. Croft.
Yes. Seriously, I can't find it.
Hello.
Come on.
It's kind of blurry.
Just in case you forget or decide not to come back, Gerald, I think you better take this with you.
She hands him the ring. So she's broken off the engagement, right? She's broke off the engagement. Her parents will not like this, right? So again, now this here, right? This, the upset, this is genuine, right? Because he does actually love this woman. Now we're going to debate in a minute about to what extent he abuses her, but he does actually love her, and the fact that she's dead has upset him. I see. Well, I was expecting this.
I don't dislike you as I did half an hour ago, Gerald. In fact, in some odd way, I'd rather respect you more than I've ever done before. I knew anyhow you were lying about those months last year when you hardly came near me. I knew there was something fishy about that time. And now at least you've been honest. And I believe what you told us about the way you helped her at first. Just out of pity. And it was my fault, Warrior, she was so desperate when you first met her. This has made a difference. You and I are the same people who sat down to dinner here. We'd have to start all over again, getting to know each other.
This is really, this is very mature, right? Because what she's saying is that actually you're a decent man, and you've been honest and truthful, and this relationship's not over, but we need to start again and actually be truthful with each other and know each other. It's very, very mature. Her father, of course, won't like it.
Now, Sheila, I'm not defending him, but you must understand that a lot of young men.
Yeah, right. A lot of young men. So this is his attempt to save the marriage by essentially saying this is what men do, right? You don't understand, Sheila. This is what men do. A lot of young men. I'm not defending him, but a lot of young men do this kind of thing, Sheila.
Don't interfere, please, Father. Gerald knows what I mean, and you apparently don't.
Yes, I know what you mean, but I'm coming back, if I may.
Alright.
Well, really, I don't know. I think we've just about come to an end of this wretched Christmas.
I don't think so, excuse me. Gerald goes out.
Well, really, I don't know.
Right. Guess who's next?
Miss
Mrs. Burley's next, right? Because she always goes, I think we're done with this now. And you go, no, we're not. It's you next, right? Notice again here, before we move on, notice the change in Gerald. So he's really humbled by this, right? So he's much more like, I know I've done wrong, but I've done wrong to my wife, my fiance, not to Eva. So he's very humble, but I would say here that he is blind to his abuse of Eva, right? Which is what we're going to talk about in a minute. So he thinks he's done nothing wrong at all, right? And a lot of people go, he's a really good guy, he helped her out of trouble, but I'm going to argue to you that I think actually that it's not all that great.